Hi guys, I'm Carol. Welcome to my kitchen and to my YouTube channel. Today I'm super excited about this video actually. I've been wanting to do this one for a while because it's something that's really important to me, and it's something that I feel like many of us are not really trained to think about. And once I learned about this practice, it really revolutionized my relationship with food. It changed the way I thought about my body. And so today I want to talk to you about 5 tips for eating mindfully. Mindfulness is like this buzzword in our culture right now. We're using it so much. We're talking about being mindful about everything. It's the best. I think it's really important that in the type of fast-paced lives that we live, that we learn how to slow down and be mindful. And for me, food is, in my mind, the best modality for being mindful. It is a practice that we have to do every day. We have to nourish our bodies. And so when we learn to eat mindfully, we're training our bodies and our minds to be mindful about everything else. And when I learned to tap into my body and really let my body be a teacher to me, it kind of wiped out this diet mentality for me. And it really allowed me to connect to my body, to connect to the food that I was eating, and to learn how to listen to my intuition with what made me feel good. And so I want to give you 5 simple tips to eating mindfully. I guarantee when you do these, you're gonna feel better about your relationship with food. So many of us exist in really complicated relationships with food. Even in the way we speak about it, which we'll talk about in one of my tips, we say things like it's good or it's bad or whatever it might be. And we put this language around food that's just not life-giving. So I want to talk to you about these 5 tips. We're going to go ahead and start with number 1. A tip to eating mindfully is asking your body what it needs. This sounds really simple, but when I was in my 20s, I started to literally have a conversation like, stomach, what do you want right now? And I think so many of us are rushing through life and getting things done, which is important, and we eat on the go so often that we're not really slowing down and having a conversation with our body about what we need. We have like a massive flare up in our culture right now with dietary restrictions and intolerances and things like that. And I think it's really important to notice and to listen to your body. The truth is, the body never lies. It cannot lie to you. So to ask your body, like, what do you really, really need right now? And not just, what do I really want? I really want a Snickers bar and a Diet Coke. Maybe not the best option, but really having this dialogue with your body, like, what do you need? What's gonna make you feel the most good? How can I support you? How can I nourish you? And learning to have this dialogue, which sounds kind of woo-woo, but I started doing it and my body would speak back to me. Even with certain things that I know are healthy. Sometimes I would think like, oh, I should have this because it's healthy. But my body would say, actually, I think I need this. So our body is always speaking to us. And when we learn how to engage in that conversation, it slows us down. It makes us mindful about the way we're eating and what we're putting into our bodies. So that is tip number 1. Number 2, this is an important one, you guys. I get this question a lot. I teach a lot of workshops around the language of food, the way we speak about the things we eat. And number 2 is to stop labeling your food as good or bad. This one might sound a little bit elementary, but I hear women on the daily say, oh yeah, I ate really good today, or oh, I ate really bad today, referencing these food groups as good and bad. So what this does is it puts a label onto something. And inherently, when we label something, we're casting a judgment on it, right? And so then when we eat bad, we feel bad about ourselves. I ate bad today, therefore I'm experiencing shame around what I put into my body. And it makes food an emotional thing that it's not really meant to be. We're not meant to have these like emotional responses to maybe overindulging a little bit. We can have very practical and healthy responses, like maybe I overdid it today, and so tomorrow I'm gonna be a little more cautious and careful around the things that I eat. But to put a label of good or bad kind of creates this negative emotion and shame swirl that none of us need to be living in when it comes to our relationship with food. Another thing about labeling that's really important to understand is that your body is reacting to the food that you take in all the time, right? So if you are feeling shame or bad about eating something, what happens is, think about this. So if you and I go to Cupcakes because you're celebrating a job promotion and I am eating a cupcake because I broke up with my boyfriend, I'm eating from a place of stress and anxiety, right? You may be eating from a place of celebration because you just got this new job promotion. So the very way that your body takes in the nutrients, the calories, all of that is going to be totally different. So if you're eating from a place of celebration, again, using language of like, this is so great, I'm so happy, I'm so excited, and you're operating and eating from this place of celebration, your body is now able to receive, it's open, your very posture is open. If you're eating from a place of stress and anxiety, think about what your body does when it's stressed and anxious, right? It closes. So your digestion closes, your nerves tighten up, and the very way you digest that cupcake is gonna be totally different than someone who is celebrating. So being really mindful around the language we use around our food is super important. Okay, my third tip for eating mindfully is eat things that are beautiful. This sounds simple, but how many of you have gone to a restaurant and you sit down and it's like this beautiful piece of art, food? It changes the game, right? Eating something beautiful and taking the time to create something beautiful yourself is a practice in and of itself. And beauty causes us to be present. And that is what we want when we're being mindful. We want to be present. So when you eat something beautiful, when you take the time to make a really gorgeous avocado toast and drizzle it with beautiful olive oil and sprinkle on your favorite seasoning salts, whatever it might be, and really look at this piece of art that you've created, what happens is you're present. You know this from like watching a sunset or like seeing a beautiful landscape or a mountain or whatever it might be. Beauty causes you to pause and be in the moment. And that is super important when it comes to eating mindfully. All right, next up, number 4, my tip for eating mindfully is don't eat distracted. This one is really hard for me. I am totally guilty of it because I love like stimulation, right? So I want to watch a show while I'm eating, or I want to like be on my phone. But if you're really wanting to practice eating mindfully, it's important to remove distractions, to set your phone outside of the room, to be present with the meal, to maybe engage in a really good conversation. If you're eating alone, to do so like looking outside a window or doing something that feels slow and like you can be in the moment. TV and screens and things like this, we know they're not great for our eating habits. They cause us to eat faster, they take us out of the moment. So the more you can be in the moment with your food, the better. If you're eating with somebody, engaging in a really good conversation is super important when it comes to a meal. So asking an intentional question and just being there together, celebrating over this plate of food. All right, guys, my 5th and final tip for eating mindfully is thanking your body for using what it needs. I had this revelation the other day where I was like, isn't it crazy that our bodies take in food and then they break it down into energy, and then we now have energy to do the things we do? That's miraculous. I remember growing up and we would say grace or say a thank you prayer every night at dinner. And I think there's something really important in that. Thanking your body for doing the work to keep you nourished and to keep you energetic and to keep your hair growing and your skin glowing, all of these things, just thanking your body for doing what it's doing is a great practice for eating mindfully. It will kind of connect you back to point number 1, really asking your body what you need, because it keeps you in a conversation with your body. And so asking, like, what do you need? And then thanking it for using exactly what it wants and needs. And even saying like, thank you for not using what you don't need. Thank you for letting it pass through me. It's just a practice that I've adopted to create a healthier, loving, and present relationship with food. I hope those tips are helpful. Definitely leave me a comment below if you have another mindful tip that you use for eating mindfully and keeping yourself present.